Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. So I still have the old computer. The new one probably is cool, but it's not getting Wi-Fi. It refuses to see Wi-Fi. So I'm on the old computer, but I did get a new monitor, so I don't have to use the one from work anymore. Best laid plans. Anyways, we're working on that. Their tech support's all backed up, so we haven't made much progress. Okay, so hope you guys are doing okay. It's actually been kind of quiet for Mandelas, but I do have I don't know, like 6 or 7 or 8 of them that'll come in later. The usual world news complaining will now start. They started locking down campuses. I heard first about it in the UK, but apparently, interesting, I heard about it in the UK and I didn't hear about it in the United States. But I just checked earlier today to see if they're doing it in the United States, and they are. Um, Basically, if people in the dorms, they'll just decide that you can't leave. So they're expected to. So, for instance, this Gettysburg College, I think that's what we're on now, they just suddenly, without warning, told all the students that they weren't allowed to leave. They had to stay in their rooms for 24 hours a day for a full week, except for trips to the bathroom or to pick up food. So the trips to the bathroom, there's no bathroom in the dorms. Usually there's just one bathroom down the hall. So you have to be able to leave your room for that. And it sounded like they were delivering food, so they weren't actually able to leave the building, but they were able to collect food and bring it back to the room. I'm kind of surprised that no roommates have killed each other from this kind of a situation. It's all just ridiculous. Imagine spending all that money for the campus experience, and then it's like hell. Here's another one that's doing it. Our UW Madison lockdown for 2 weeks. They're not allowed to leave, and the school is providing food, but it doesn't sound like it's that good because, they got sandwiches for lunch, water and a banana for breakfast. I mean, if you're on a special diet, I don't know what the heck. Now, these ones were allowed to go home, but if they did, they couldn't come back, at least until after the quarantine was over. And who knows how long that'll last because they they could keep extending it. Look at all of these signs: help us, prison. Doesn't sound like they're having a good time. Some people can't easily go home. Their parents are far away. They don't have the money. They don't have any place else to stay. So that would really, really suck. Okay, so now this one was brought by Ali Gal, or Gall, Gall, commenter on the channel. A while back, I had mentioned how, well, actually, no, it was just last week, that one of the vaccine test subjects, one of the guinea pigs, had a neurological condition and ranted something about how they killed God or something. Now, one of the reasons that I mentioned that was because I'd heard of this one, that there was supposedly, and I'm very suspicious of this, but every 2/3 of any news lately sounds really suspicious, and this is one of them. Supposedly, in this video, and if you type in a Google killing the God gene with respiratory viruses leaked Pentagon video, you will find it in various places. This one's on BitChute. This guy here is supposedly trying to push a option with the Pentagon where he uses a virus to alter the DNA to remove the God gene, which is supposedly like a genetic component that allows us to be more spiritual. So he's pushing this as something that you could spray or somehow get into, say, the religious fundamentalist countries, like maybe some of the Muslim countries or something. And his argument is if you did this, then they wouldn't attack us and stuff. I really don't think it would work anyway, because I really do think that violence is something that people have inside them, and then they justify it with religion. But a lot of people who are doing that haven't even really even read the religious texts that closely that they're purporting to defend. It's just an excuse. And if they don't have religion, they come up with something else, like, oh, I have to attack you first so you don't attack me, or you did blah, blah, blah. There's always something. So, I mean, it wouldn't work, but I don't think it would work. But anyways, and I'm very suspicious about this video, because I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get a copyright, but I suggest you play it. But just listen to, like, the questioning from the audience here. Just seems a little fishy. It just seems a little bit acted. This guy kind of sucks at explaining the science. I don't know if you really try to make a bunch of money with a very high-tech vaccine / genetic and engineering project with this guy who's like says about 10 times more than I do and seems to kind of struggle with the explanation. So then if you go to Snopes, and not like I really trust them, but supposedly a while back somebody was talking about making a movie based on this premise, like some years ago, and that this stuff all came out at that time. So I don't know. It's I don't really trust this video, though. I don't trust Snopes, but I don't trust this video. So still interesting. And again, you know, I've said it many times. Imagination and stuff may drive future timelines, or which ones you go to, or whichever of these little things catches the public attention may actually write our future timelines to some extent. So, you know, that might be something to think about with some of this stuff. It's not true now, but it may turn out to be true, or it's like a superposition of maybe it's true, maybe it's not, and you know, it'll be true in some timelines and not others. It's kind of like all this stuff swirling around. Which one's going to stick? You know, which ones are going to be the ones that grow roots and grow leaves and really shoot for the sun. Okay, another one. Saw this one on Reddit. This one's interesting. Chief Science Officer for Pfizer says second wave faked on false positive COVID tests. Pandemic is over. Not exactly the most shocking title for us in town. Now, this actually guy is, though, a former chief science officer, but he was supposedly working there for 16 years, former vice president and chief science officer for Pfizer for 16 years, says that half or even almost all of tests for the C are false positives. Dr. Geeden also argues that the threshold for herd immunity may be much lower than previously thought and may have been reached in many countries already. I mean, I don't even know how we even know how many people have had it if the tests are cross-reactive for other coronas and other coronaviruses are super common. I mean, everybody could have had it. Almost nobody could have had it. Who the heck even knows? All right, I'm going to burn through these because some of these are just like, yeah, we almost already know that kind of a thing. Got that one. All right, this is the last one. I'm like burning through them today. Okay. This one is the most interesting because it is where they may be heading with this next. This is another one of these articles that's based on like something close to no evidence. But I wonder if this is their next move on this. Let's see, who will have the least amount of ridiculous advertising? We'll try for the UK. You can see it's everywhere though, this article. So they're really pushing this. New coronavirus mutation could be evolving to get around mask wearing and hand washing. So you can see where this is going. Okay, so there's plenty of evidence that the mask wearing and hand wearing washing aren't doing anything. And the lockdowns aren't really doing anything. And we've got basically a case demic because you've got cases up but deaths down, which is ridiculous. I mean, if this is really so dangerous, if these cases are really legit, then the deaths should follow cases, but they're not. They're totally not. They're having trouble scraping up deaths. So it's the case demic. Okay, so now they've got this excuse. Well, it's mutated. So, even if you lock down, even if you do this and that, it's more contagious now. So now, what's the unspoken assumption here is we'll have to do more. And I think we all know what that more will probably be. But they may also vote for more lockdowns. I wouldn't be surprised. But going into the winter now, expect that to hit. I mean, I'm not even going to... I think they said some tiny mutation was in 99% of some place that... Let me see if I actually should dig that stupid thing up. Where was all the boring details on this one? Blah. All right, we'll try Fox. See why masks... And then we've got Fox, we got WAPO, Washington Post. Everybody's running this. So they're really making a run on this. May bypass mask wearing. So that's why the lockdowns aren't working. Not because we're stupid. A new strain of virus which accounted for 99.9% of cases during the second wave in Houston, Texas. Interesting. I don't know how they know this number. I mean, did they actually test the DNA for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the viruses in that area? Probably not. Though the strain isn't more deadly, researchers said it appeared to have adapted better to spread among humans. I'm really curious why they even say that, because it doesn't seem like the Houston, Texas outbreak was that big a whoop-de-doo. So I guess they're just saying that all the cases in that area, or almost all of them, were that. And then the assumption, that outbreak was really bad, so therefore it must be more contagious. That's about all I can really guess. So basically this is another kind of article built on fairy dust, but it's not science, but it does push a certain narrative, and that's an excuse for things we're doing now not working, which we already know they're not working, but some people are going to start to notice they're not really bringing down the cases anyway. They're not doing anything. So now there's this excuse, and so we've got to push it to the next level. Of course, I think the other thing that they'll probably do is, like, everybody who doesn't wear a mask or whatever, when they push it to the next level, those people all get blamed. I mean, if there's like one person in the state of California that doesn't wear a mask, then the whole California is going to have to shut down because cases are up because that one guy did not behave. I mean, they're going to try to put that pressure on people. And then the Republicans will blame those BLM protesters, and then the Democrats will blame those lockdown protesters, and the fighting's on. Strategy has been working. Well, it's been working. I don't know if I'd say brilliantly. It is a brilliant strategy. See what you guys are up to. So that's pretty much all of that stuff. Then I will, in a second here, once I read what you're up to, switch over to the Mandela part of the show. I pretty much burned through that because there's not really much news. It's not new news. It's not surprising news. Sharon Stone's sister got the C. My sister got the C because of all you non-mask wearers. Yeah, I hadn't even read that, and you were probably typing that right when I was saying it. Yes, They're everything that they're going to do it no matter what. But when they do, they're going to try to blame it all on the people that aren't obeying. It's all your fault. Like, there's areas in California where, like, everybody is totally in on the mask thing. Everybody's wearing it. Those areas will do just as bad. And I swear, there's one person in all of the Bay Area not wearing one. It's going to be that guy's fault. I bet you that they'll have just as much problems as everybody else, regardless of compliance. And meanwhile, the Republican states that aren't locking down, along with Hong Kong and Sweden and Japan, will be totally fine. It's like COVID symptoms are just shift sickness. I am very suspicious of that. A lot of the symptoms they're blaming on the sea, it's just so intricate, you know. The symptoms sound like shift symptoms. A lot of them do, like this nagging flu-like symptoms that won't quite go away. Sound like shift sickness, like you're not sick, but you're not healthy. The latest one I forgot to mention this. Like, my lower back's been like really hurting lately. I don't know if it's you guys too, or is it just me, but the reason I think it might be shifty is because it'll hurt really bad, and then an hour or two later, it's totally fine. And then it'll kind of come back, then it'll be gone. And I haven't done anything. Like, even just during the night while I'm sleeping, sometimes I'll wake up and it'll be like, ow, 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 it's really hurting. And then 3 hours later, I'll get up, I go, it doesn't hurt at all. It didn't hurt when I went to bed. It didn't hurt when I woke up. But in the middle of the night, it hurts. So it's getting better overall, but it's just so weird. Like, this stuff just doesn't act normal. And I used to be, if I had to say I hurt my back in the past, it would hurt a lot at first. And then as long as I took it easy, it would slowly get better, and then it would be gone. That's like normal. If I got, like, say, the flu, I would feel really sick, and then I would do smart things like resting, and like assuming I did smart things, which I didn't always. But if I did smart things like resting and eating healthy and taking it easy, then I could immediately, or within, 12 hours or whatever, like if I went and slept for 12 hours, when I got up again, I feel better, because that's what my body needed. And my body used that time to kick that germ's butt, and you could see the advantages and how it was working. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's just so weird. It's like you feel sick, then you feel fine, and resting doesn't do anything. I don't know, everything is so strange. I don't know how to operate this body anymore. I don't know what it wants. It's like, you're hurting, but what do you even want from me? Because resting doesn't do anything. I mean, might as well just slam some aspirin down and just do whatever I want then. Which is pretty much how I've been doing it, because resting doesn't work. It's just so weird. So anyway, lower back, that's been the thing, the lower back. Just like the last 4 or 5 days. Epic Journeyman's got the ocular migraines. Oh, there was one I got like 5 days ago, and I got a little bit today. Was a weird pain back in here. I think it's one of the trigeminal nerves. It wasn't quite a pain, but it was like almost a pain, but it lasted for like a half hour. I've never actually felt any pain back there in my entire life. So I think that would be called trigeminal neuralgia, but it really wasn't quite bad enough to quite be a pain. I don't know, it was weird. It's like my nerves are all strange now. This one hurts, that one hurts, kind of hurts, feels weird. I don't know. Stop letting them lock you up. Well, I pretty much do what I want. I mean, we have to wear masks to go in the grocery store, so I do, but Frida Peoples, $2. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, you. Thank you for the $2. Appreciate it. Bottom line is, we have a crisis of weak immune systems the world over. Check out the Wim Hof method. Jumpstart those immune systems. Yeah, the thing is, I mean, like, none of that makes any sense according to germ theory. I mean, if I'm really actually sick, then I shouldn't be perfectly fine 2 hours later. I mean, germs don't just all evaporate 2 hours later. So I don't think it's really germs. I'm not sure what it is. I'm shift sickness is the only thing I can really think of. Uh, it's just, even if it's like just normal inflammation, why did it go away all of a sudden? And I've tried all this stuff. I mean, I've checked my blood sugar. It's always perfectly fine. I even got my own blood sugar tests to see. I test it all different times. I test it when I feel bad. I test it when I feel good. Sugar doesn't fix it. If I had low blood sugar, that should help. If I had high blood sugar, it shouldn't magically go away. If I had high blood sugar, it should be worse after I eat sugar, but it's not really worse either. So, yeah, I don't know. Wish I could say things aren't going to get worse. Looks bad, though. We get the data every day at my work. And I don't suppose you could share any of the data. Just kind of curious. Well, always really, really curious. But I definitely think they're going to try a bunch more crap this winter, for sure. I do find it very interesting that the cases are way up, but the deaths are down. So I know a lot of people were worried that they would try to pull something real, like some real thing that really was killing a lot of people, to like try to make it look more realistic. But so far that hasn't happened. But people are still falling for this case thing. They don't need to make a deadly virus. They can just convince people that a nasty flu is like the end of the world, and have bad tests and convince her. They don't even have to do the real deal. Missed all of this season of South Park. I'm sure it's all like on YouTube or something. Florida's back to normal. Yeah, I heard about that. I've been watching with interest which states are doing less baloney. Florida has the governor of Florida has definitely been very reluctant to do any lockdowns. So I appreciate that. He was the last one to impose it. He was speaking against it. Hopefully he doesn't have a sudden heart attack in the next week or two. So when you get those epic journeyman, when you get those ocular migraines, are you talking about like you see weird stuff, or are you actually getting a headache type migraine? Because the terminology for this stuff is getting so wide. I mean, now you can have this migraine without a headache, and you're basically hallucinating. But don't worry, it's not a hallucination, because it's an ocular migraine. They've got this nice word for it. Basically, they're normalizing seeing weird crap. It's like, don't worry, it's just an ocular migraine, even though you see a whole bunch of weird crap that ain't there. Which I've been watching that, and it's very interesting. And you just all the time now hear people with this stuff. Oop, jumped. The mask is just another tool, like the chip of the beast. Actually, yeah, huh? It is a little. It's a lot. It is. You can't buy, sell, or trade. Yeah, it is. It is like that. Let's see. There was so the current. I covered this was a few weeks ago. So the current line is Mark of the Beast. What was it? What was that new one in the middle? Mark of the Beast or number of his name. But there's another couple words that are now in there. The name of the beast or the number of his name. Yeah, that's the new part. The name of the beast. It used to be you had to have the mark or the number of his name, but now you can have the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So that's added in now. No man may buy or sell save he had the mark of the beast. Okay, so, but you've got these two other options now. The name of the beast or the number of his name. So it sounds to me like possibly you'll still be able to buy and sell. You could avoid the mark if you can just have the name of the beast or the number of his name. And in the Bible it says, do not worship the beast. So as long as you don't worship or have the mark, I think you'll be all right. And I've said this before, keep your eye out and look for the routes around the problem. Look for the outs, because I think they'll be there. When I see this prediction altar in the Bible, I think that it might signify some of our other options that we'll have. Now, I don't think they're going to make it super convenient. I think there'll be maybe a lot of social pressure, especially to get the mark. But, now's a good time to learn to not be a slave to social pressure. All that stuff we were supposed to learn in high school, now is the time to learn it. I lose balance for a few days. I always have perfect balance. Now I lose balance. I do feel like this weird thing sometimes when I'm sitting there where it's like I'm dizzy, but I'm not. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to fall over, but it's almost like I'm dizzy. I don't know how to describe it. And it's usually short-lived. And it's not really super scary, but it feels kind of weird. And I do feel that when I'm shifting. Or I think that's when I'm shifting. It actually literally feels kind of like I'm moving, but I'm not moving. So it's easy to figure that that's probably it. Been to Florida. It was cool. Been to Florida. It was freaking hot. I like Florida except for that humidity. I'm not a big fan of that. Florida. Where would I move? I don't know. I'm going to just wait and see what happens. It'd be hard because I won't have any employees if I move. I'll have to move all my store. It's like we're at a higher altitude or something. It's summer when this summer was very cold, even when the sun was out and the sky was clear. Doesn't really make sense, but sun burning like microwave. Yeah, we had a really cool summer until like this month, and now it's like freaking hot. We had the highest temperature ever in my area, 115 degrees. And weirdly, it's not bothering me as much as it used to. I used to just feel like I was going to freaking die. Like 2-3 years ago, it was like 103 and I'd have the fans on and I just felt like the fans were like a blast furnace oven, like they weren't even helping. But today was 106. It didn't seem that bad. There's no virus, just a weird illness. There's something going on. I'm just not sure what it is. I do think it's shift related, though. Bafflemet changing. How did Bafflemet change? I can't say I really like keep an eye on those devil images. Let's see what we got. Bafflemet. You know what I don't remember is that pokey thing on top of the head. It looks like I don't know what. I don't remember that thing that's right in the middle. I don't remember that. Still got cloven feet. What changes did you see on Bafflemet? I just don't remember that center piece. Yeah, see, that looks funky. Because right there is... Okay. Oh, you remember different arms. Okay, I'm not sure on that one. I'll take your word for it on that one. I really don't remember. Bright light lantern in the middle of his forehead. I don't really remember anything in the middle of his forehead, but I wasn't really sure. I think it's definitely more complicated than it was. I don't think I remember that thing there either, that disc and his pants. It's, which just happens to be, looks like the medical symbol with the two snakes. Isn't that a coinky dink? Look at it right there. Yep, yep. It used to be just one snake for me too, and now it's two snakes on the caduceus or whatever, however you pronounce that medical symbol. Oliver Henry does not remember the centerpiece in the head. I woke up in the middle of the night, so I watched the presidential debate live. Ha ha! That should give you a headache. There's an interesting... I'm not really surprised. There's got to be stuff for both sides to fight on. And so there's this rumor going around that Biden had a wire and he was like somehow cheating because I guess he was more fluent than he has been in some time. Not that it would shock me that if that was the case, but I was watching the video of this supposed wire, and before you jump all on that, oh, he had a wire bandwagon, just think of two things. One thing is, if they were going to wire him, would they really wire him so sloppy that the wire went boink and flopped out into view just because he was wiggling around? No. I mean, I just can't imagine anybody would be that stupid. They'd make sure that that wire was taped down, locked and loaded, you know, in his skin or whatever, that someplace you couldn't see it. One little wire, they're not going to have it, so it just flops out. The second thing is I looked at the video frame by frame, and the wire is like nowhere to be seen, and then suddenly it's way out here visible, and it kind of materializes, and then it's there for a while, and then it kind of dematerializes. If that was a real wire flopping out from under his vest, you should see it flop out, and then what made it go away? I mean, it should either stay flopped out, or I don't see how, but it could gradually shift back in, but he didn't move it or anything. It should stay out the whole time, but somehow it neither goes back in nor does he put it in. It just dematerializes. So, I mean, either the Mandela put it there or something to make you guys all freak out, or it's some kind of video editing, but it's not a normal video. So, I mean, if they really wanted the debates proper, they would inspect all these guys before they went on. There was, I don't know if you remember, but back when Baby Bush was debating, there was a big square thing on his back, and it was pretty prominent between, you could see it between his shoulder blades when he bent over. There was obviously a square thing on his back, basically. So, and he also was somebody who was known to be not very fluent in the debates, and suddenly was quite fluent in that debate. So there was big rumor mill that he had some kind of cheating device, you know, some kind of feeder device or something in his ear or something to feed him like suggestions on how to answer. So I guess now it's Biden's turn to have the rumor mill, but you know, they really should like inspect these guys. And, you know, now that we have so much fighting, they really should just cut the mic on the person who's not supposed to be talking so we can hear the other guy. But, you know, they'll never do these things because that'll, like, solve problems. And they don't want to do that. They want us to all fight over this stuff. They want us to fight over whether Biden cheated or Baby Bush cheated or Trump cheated or, you know, they've got to have something for everybody to point at. So there's always going to be a story and a counter story. $4, $2 more from Frida Peoples, Soylent Green, or some stuff for sure. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but I mean, I'm not sure which part of my story we're talking about, but Soylent Green, yeah. I don't know if you guys remember the story of Soylent Green, where people were disappearing. It's an old movie. People were disappearing, and he finds out that they're being ground up into food, basically. Soylent Green was the name of the food. Biden will lose. I think Biden will lose because Trump is just way more divisive, and that's what this timeline likes. And that there's no way, I just can't see any way that the timeline is not going to have massive division. If a vaccine is real, then cure STDs from cold sore. Yeah, why? Suddenly they can. You've got the world's weirdest virus that has supposedly all these amazing capabilities. People are touting that it can stay on alive on surfaces for weeks. No, it can't. No virus has ever been able to do that. That it causes everything from heart attacks to COVID toes, to every flu symptom, to removal of taste, to brain damage, to kidney failure, all these things it can do. Where's my thread? I lost my chain of thought. It can do all this stuff, right? And then it's so weird, even though normal other coronaviruses are all normal, but this one branch of coronaviruses has all these abilities. And we're just going to make a vaccine for it. Lickety split, like within months, boom. But yet we never cured like these other 5,000 problems. Like we've been working on them for 20 years. Many of them kill a lot more people than the sea. And we're supposed to trust that they're going to just bang out this vaccine and it'll be safe. I don't think so. He definitely had a flesh-colored earpiece. Seems like they wouldn't have been dumb enough to leave wires hanging, though. Good point. Yeah, I just can't see it. And even if you have a wire, you don't need to have it like, okay, even if you watch a stupid movie and someone's going undercover, they have that wire like taped down to the flesh. I mean, you have to rip off all their clothes to find that wire. You don't have a wire that goes bloop, so I'll have to check on that earpiece thing if I'm really convinced on that or not. We'll see. So Russia has a cure that apparently works and the whole world is ignoring it. I mean, do they really have a cure that works? I mean, it's the flu. Nobody has a cure for the flu. Let's see. Russia has a cure for the sea. Well, they have a vaccine. Is less than meets the eye. Yeah, I'm not going to be lining up for their vaccine either. That's all I've heard about Russia is that they have a vaccine. I mean, deaths are down. I don't know what we're even vaccinating against. Do we even have anything to vaccine against if it's already spread all over? Denounce the certification as premature and inappropriate. It's ridiculous. I feel only shame for our country. Zavdova has worked on clinical trials for 20 years and anticipated the approval yesterday. Sent an appeal to postpone registering the vaccine until proper efficacy trials are completed. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, I don't know. If you're talking about something else, I'll need another keyword, I think, in order to find it. 1111. Thank you. Thank you, Dark Wolf. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing okay over there. Did you get any work over there? I mean, I can't imagine that hotels are actually teeming with customers at this point. But, I mean, if they're going to put you to work, you're going to have a lot of thumb twiddling to do, I guess. $99.7. Yeah, what was it? Oh, I should have brought that one up. There's it was like a 99.9 survival rating for younger kids, and then it was like 99.97 for like 20-year-olds, and then it was like 99% for like my age up to like 50. And then 99.4 for up to 70. And then the survival. This is the latest CDC numbers, and I'm a little off, but this is really close. And then 70 and over was like 94.6. I know it was a 94 point something. I'm pretty sure it was 94.6 survival rating. So suddenly it drops a lot for the 70 year and older. But you got to realize 7 years is where like you got and older, so it can be all the way up to 110. You've got everybody that's like that close to death. Up in that range. So the first thing that comes along is going to kick you off at some point when you get old enough. Only in the last week have we slowed down. Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, that's good. Maybe you've got a lot of people who aren't worried about it. I know there's been a lot of yammer about 60% of hotels ready to go bankrupt or something. And it's not skiing season right now, so I thought you guys might be really slow. The quick is in. I didn't even say all the people are in, so I was kind of late now. One of the things about reading off everybody is when you kind of get into the show, like your brain is like, it gives your brain time to start. So lately my brain's been working better, so I just feel like I could start talking without having to warm it up. Have you heard of the tardigrade water bear that can survive long periods of time with oxygen and water and even the vacuum of space? Yes, that one has been on a bunch of times. When I first heard of tardigrade, it was microscopic, could not be seen with a naked eye. I think it's up to like 1 millimeter now. There used to be just one kind. They had just discovered it about 10 years ago. Now they've known about it forever. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of species and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, tardigrade, that puppy is a Mandela for Eva. The missile hitting the tower was inspired by Def Leppard Pyromania album. I'm not sure what we're talking about exactly. Which missile are we talking about? There are a colony of those on the moon. Really? There's a colony of tardigrades on the moon, Colony of tardigrades. I've not heard that one. On the moon. So the moon has been contaminated. Crash land on the moon and probably survived? Ironically, it says I've clicked on this before, but I don't remember it. What's that coming out of his side? That's kind of creepy. Oh, he's got creepy feet. Can survive for decades without water, then reanimate. Do I remember reading that? I'm not sure on that one. Okay, so there'd be like in suspended animation on the moon. We'd have a colony of lunar tardigrades. But the moon does have water because it has ice. If it could be in the Antarctic. Go without water, food for 30 years. We have like so many animals now that could just freeze solid and reanimate. And they're saying frogs can dehydrate for 30 years and then rehydrate. And it's just creepy. They were in suspended animation and encased in amber. Okay, so they're just guessing they survive and they're in suspended animation. So it's not really a colony, but at least for now, it's a stash of them. Assuming there's a moon and all that yammer. Flat earthers don't get all upset. Everybody knows, well, most people know I'm a simulated reality person, so I don't have a pony in that race. The fish that comes back from near dust. Let me check that one out. Doink. Oh. Ancient African fish dust nourishes Amazon. As the Salton Sea shrinks, it leaves behind a toxic reminder of something. See, all these articles, the Salton Sea is getting bigger and bigger. It's like twice as big as it was a few years ago. A friend of mine who is totally not into the Mandela glanced at the map, saw the giant Salton Sea, and even commented that the sea was huge on that map, and they must be using its historical size because it's not that big now. I'm like, yes, it is. He goes, oh no, that must have been what it was like, 30 years ago, because it's not that big now. I'm like, it is that big now. It's big. It's big. He actually really had a hard time swallowing that was the current size. There is no reason the map would pick the size, like a historic size. They say it was bigger before, but really it was smaller before, and now it's big. It's like everything is like so many things are running in the reverse of the story you're told, and the Salton Sea shrinking now makes me laugh every freaking time I see it. And it's also grown a new history. Like now it has this whole history where they used to do pleasure boats and all this stuff that they used to do on it, and it didn't have that history before because it was too freaking small. But now it was big enough. We are in a simulation? Crap. Well, that's my favorite theory. I mean, I can't swear to it, but... Just type 1918 pandemic masks in Google. Oh, so what, they wore masks in 1918? Oh, yeah, I think I did hear about that recently. When it first came out, a lot of us are like, I don't remember this 1918 pandemic thing. And then sure enough, like about 6 months later, we get the COVIDs. Many of the methods Americans used in 1918 to prevent the spread of the flu are similar. Yeah, no. Masks were made of gauze or even more porous material. Yeah, I don't remember. When we first looked into this pandemic thing from 1918, there weren't like show football fans wearing masks. Nope. Americans were not mask wearers. That was like Asia dudes. It's weird. I've been seeing these people out in the middle of the street, nobody's around, it's late, they're wearing a mask, but now they're sticking their nose out. I'm like, why even wear it? There's nobody in like hundreds and hundreds of feet. There's nobody in like 5 blocks. And if you're not going to even have it covering your nose, what's the point? And it's hot. I mean, I could see it if it was freaking cold. People are strange. Anyway, when I say simulation, that doesn't mean I think there's a computer somewhere that we're on, but, that's running us with another human but I think it's something like that. I think it's more like a simulation than a solid reality that we have always assumed that we were taught. I often wonder if those medieval and ancient pantomime masks had a practical purpose to avoid virus plague spread. Yeah, I don't know. It just reality is so different here. I don't know if we're gonna still have germ theory in another 10 years. I'm very curious to see where that goes. There's been such a big flex in the type of illnesses we have where it's autoimmune. They're suggesting immune blockers for strep throat. I mean, I know I've said that 100 times, but it still is like, psh. I mean, you're combating an illness by blocking your immune system, and then it works. It works. You get better. You feel better. They're doing similar things, anti-inflammatories for the C. So it just seems like the push now is they're even saying that the reason that it's a cytokine storm is what kills you. Your own immune system overreacting. Oh, the germ doesn't kill you. It's your own stupid immune system losing its cookies. So there's a really strong trend that I'm seeing in that direction already. The Birdman mask was for physicians, no joke. I've talked about that before, Epic Journeyman, like maybe like a month or two ago. I don't remember that freaking thing existing. I'm sorry. I saw that maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I thought it was from some goofy movie when I first saw it, because all of a sudden it was everywhere. I'm like, oh, it must be some horror movie thing, but no, then I found out that was supposed to be like this historical thing that we had. No, I just saw it for the first time like 2 years ago. For me, that's a Mandela. The Salton Sea history keeps changing in my timeline. Yes. The Salton Sea in my original timeline was an accidental release of waters from an irrigation system canal flooding the region. And they refused to, made this nice sea, supposedly, water birds loved it, etc. But they refused to protect that sea because it was unnatural. It's like, we're not wasting funding on something that's accidental. But then, I think I really noticed that maybe 4 years ago. Now, the story is that there's always been a sea there for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But it got bigger because of the accidental release of waters. But it is natural. And so now, oh yes, we should spend funding to save it because it's a natural sea. So the whole history is different. And like I said, they now have all this pleasure boat things and all this stuff that happened in the past on there. There is a sci-fi movie called The Monster That Challenged the World that takes place where they water ski and scuba dive there. Yeah, that showed up, a few years ago or something when I first started seeing that stuff. That wasn't there. Because, like I said, that was a dinky little sea and it was an accident before. Also, this whole mud volcanoes thing, I talked about that maybe a year or two ago. I really should revisit to see how those mud volcanoes are doing, but that is also new because maybe 6 or 7 years ago, we were going to take a trip there, and there were no mud volcanoes options to visit at Salton Sea. But now there are mud volcanoes. They look really cool, too. A psychic talked about that being some kind of being, not a bird mask. Beats me, I don't know. Maybe it's different things in different timelines. It was a resort area in that movie, but it's a nasty, stinky place in real life. Yeah, that's the Mandela part of it for me. It suddenly was, it's bigger in this timeline, and it keeps getting bigger. And so it was even bigger in the past in this timeline. And so now it was huge, and there was a whole resort thing and everything. But there wasn't for me because it was tiny. I remember the plague mask clearly, the inspiration for Gonzo's nose of Muffet's fame. Yeah, for me, Gonzo's nose was an elephant nose. You didn't have to have a plague mask. A couple days after I went to the Salton Sea was the first time I saw on television a movie called The Monster That Challenged the World. Huh. The Salton Sea sucks. Lived by that cesspool most of my life. Yeah, it's gotten bigger, but it doesn't seem to have gotten less stinky. But, you know, give it some more shifts. I think we'll see some stuff. Well, California was recently an island according to many maps. The Dalton scene. Did I did I cover that? Oh my god. There's so many things I research. I sometimes I decide to cover it and sometimes I don't. I have been researching that weird California as an island thing. I don't think I did cover that. No, it wasn't really Mandela-y. Um, I've never heard of California being an island, so I guess it could be that. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of old maps now that show California as an island. Anyone get a cracked tooth recently? I know, you know, there was a time last year when like everybody and their uncle were getting tooth infections and cavities and stuff. But lately, it seems like everybody's been getting plugged wax ears. That was like last month. Like there's been like the wax overload. I actually did get it too, and then I soak my ear inside with hydrogen peroxide, and that gets rid of it. But then the other guy who lives, the tenant who lives on the other house, got the same thing. Apparently, there are new movies appearing out of nowhere. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, all those old movies, you're never going to know them all, right? So you would never know if more showed up or you just never saw it. So it's just impossible. Or maybe there's just a new scene. I mean, we've seen in the movies that we do know that the scenes keep changing. So all they had to do is add a new scene, or they could slightly shift the locale that it supposedly took place in. It actually hasn't had a bad stank for a few years now, but I'm up the hill in the high desert. Ah, okay, so it's improving. It's look on the map. I mean, in my opinion, it's at least twice the size it was before, at least. Also, there's a big fat lake over the border in Mexico that's really starting to rival the Salton Sea. So we're getting that like chain of lakes coming. If you look over at Canada, starting there with the Great Lakes, you can see a chain of lakes. For you, it'd be like this, spreading across Canada, and so I think we're starting to see that now in the bottom of California and the top of Mexico. You dirty rat becoming a yellow-bellied rat. Oh, really? Is the saying changed now? Yes, it used to be you dirty rat. So now it's yellow-bellied rat, huh? That famous saying. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. You dirty rat in the movie. What movie was that even from? You dirty rat. Oh, there it is. You dirty rat became the famous phrase he never actually the famous phrase he never actually said. He never actually uttered the phrase you dirty rat in the movie Taxi, but is often used as a supposedly typical Cagney movie quote. What? So he said yellow-bellied rat. Yeah, that's of course. Um, is there even a rat with a yellow belly? I guess because yellow belly means scared. Still, yeah, no. No, yeah, classic Mandela. Nobody knows how to quote anything in this timeline, apparently. It's the EMF from the power lines and the LiDAR from the tracking drones. Yeah, I don't know, you know, or that will, it's a shift sickness, but it'll get blamed on that. Here's the thing, if it's shift sickness and this thing slows down, the sickness should settle. And then there'll have to be an excuse why you feel better. So they could say, "Oh, it turns out that this radiation was bad for you, and we're changing it." I mean, I don't know if that's really what's going to happen, but it's just having it something that supports a mundane explanation seems to be the way reality wants you to think. It wants you to think that there's a mundane explanation for everything. Doink. Okay, so let me just start actually talking about the Mandelas besides the ones that you brought up. Okay, first I just wanted to say that last time I said there was a change in the Komatsu logo, and I forgot to credit John Austin. John Austin is the one who noticed the Komatsu logo change, so good job, John Austin. Okay. This one is, let's see. Okay, I'm talking about this ant thing. All right. If you guys are here a lot, you probably remember me talking about my local ant colony. And I've moaned about these ants because we have this ant called the Argentine ant that's always freaking everywhere, and they don't fight with each other, so they pretty much take over the universe. Like if one colony encounters another Argentine ant colony, they don't fight, so they don't waste their energy. They like other kinds of ant colonies will fight their own kind, but Argentine ants don't. At least that's how it was. Now there's a little bit of a caveat to that, but overall they still don't. They don't typically fight their local neighbors. So we went through a timeline where they started biting the crap out of me, and so I was pissing and moaning about that. And then I looked on here, like I looked up their description, and it says they bite. And so, yes, I knew that at that point. They were really, really, really bitey. And it really actually hurt pretty good, too. And they were like taking over the universe. We actually decided to start poisoning because it was like you were getting bit like 5 times a day by these freaking things. So then I noticed after about a year, that was like the one summer of bites. Then the next year, they didn't bite me. And so I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I looked them up again. And it says that they can bite, but they're docile and they rarely do. I'm like, okay. All right, so timeline shift. These guys are less aggressive. I mean, I guess it could have been a different colony, but the story behind them shifted. So now the other story that kept shifting was I for a while saw some really large ants that would run around with the smaller ants all in the same line, and I looked them up, and it said that they had 2 classes of worker ant. Like one was bigger, like kind of like a guard ant, and then the smaller class did most of the regular work. And then I didn't see any more of those big ants. I looked it up again, and there was no mention of this like guard ant anymore. Now they just had the normal worker ants. Okay, so then one time, like a few weeks ago, I saw one more guard ant again in the line, and I ran and checked online, but it didn't say anything about guard ants. So I'm like, well, was I just in that timeline for like 5 minutes or something? So, well, today I saw another guard ant, or what I thought was a guard ant. There's like a big honkin' big, like it's like 2 or 3 times larger than the other ants in the same line, So if that's another species of ant, then the Argentine ants don't tolerate other species of ants. They only tolerate their own species. So I'm like, so I look it up, but they say there's no guard ants, but now they say that there's like tons of queens. Like there's like a queen for every few hundred ants or something. So I don't know if that was a queen bopping around or what. But there's like tons and tons of queens in the colony now. So anyway, every time I see one of those big ants, it's just such a trip, because you can only imagine I lived for like 40 something years looking at those ants and never once seeing a large one. And then suddenly there's like this huge beast one. So, so I looked up the story now, and the story is that they don't bite. So last time I checked, it said that they could bite, but they were docile. But now it says it does not sting or bite. Is not a threat to humans. And indeed, I feel like they're still trying to bite, but it's just so light. You could barely feel it. So they've gotten weaker. Their big old bitey mandibles have weakened down or something again, thankfully. So again, that is just... Weirdly, the whole of Wiki did not have any info on whether they bite people or not. You'd think that they would have it. And I believe that last time I looked it up, I found it on the Wiki. There's this whole new story. It just gets more and more complicated. So originally, they would never fight their own kind, but they were kind of local to around here in South America. And then last time I looked, there was like more up in Northern California and larger range of the United States. But they said that they would fight, and there would be like this mega colony here that would fight like this mega colony here. Like the Los Angeles colony would fight the like Northern California colony and this ridiculous stuff. So now they're saying that they're over in like Europe and like all these other places. All the continents have them. And then ants from different colonies will fight each other, but different countries. But ants from like California will only fight each other if they've been eating different foods. So now there's this whole food story. Like the foods change their hormones, and then they don't realize they're from the same species and they fight. But if you feed them all the same thing, they won't fight. And there's this whole, it's like there's like 16 timelines in one, and this is how they've managed to cobble them all together or something. Anyway, so I know it's probably boring for you guys, but this whole ant story just, it's like, it constantly changes. Okay, so there's the latest on the ant saga. Now, this one. I don't know if you've heard of this one, the 1923 Great Kanto earthquake. Anybody who's kind of a Japanophile. Now, look at Japan. It's looking weird. There's so many, these little islands here. I don't really they're big. Okay, so, what are those two? Let me just look at the Japan map really fast. Japan map. I don't even recognize Japan at all anymore. Oh, I think that's all in Japanese. That's not helping me. English, please. Oh, okay. Shikoku. But there's two pieces there, isn't there? Or is that just like a giant mandible sticking off the mane? See, here it looks like there's... Okay, so that's just one, and that's one. All right. So that's Shikoku. I think I've said before, I don't remember there being a Shikoku. I'm just wondering if there was a Shikoku, but it was like super tiny before, and so I didn't really have it in my brain. I think Shikoku is the newest one to like inflate anyways. Okay, so that explains why I don't really recognize Shikoku. Alright. Okay, so this earthquake. This would really, I mean, if this really happened, it must have really sucked. Okay, so the Great Kanto earthquake. I don't know if you guys are ever trying to look up anything, but especially in the last month or two, like, no details match up on any websites. I mean, it used to be you get the same info over and over, but it's like, okay, so first, what was the magnitude of the Great Kanto earthquake? I saw everything between 7.9 and 9.0, but let's just say there's a big fat quake, okay? And then how long did it last? I've seen everything between 19 seconds and 10 minutes. There's a range for you. Let's just say it really sucked. Okay. How high? Then they got stuck with a giant tsunami. I've seen everything between 20 and 40 feet for the tsunami. That would totally suck. All right, so right after the giant quake, there was a giant tsunami. And then they're saying that because it all happened at lunch. Now, I don't know how you have this tsunami but so much trouble with fire when you soak the whole place. But so they said it happened at lunch, so like everybody had their fires going, and then it started a gajillion and one fires, okay? And then they said that there was a freaking typhoon off the coast, so there was high winds. So that fanned the flames, and so then the place started burning down, okay? And because there was high winds and a whole bunch of fire that started its own winds. And apparently the tsunami part didn't stop it. They got one of those giant firestorms things, like those fire tornadoes. And I've covered before that I really thought that was a big fat ME, but they're getting bigger and fatter. So this is the biggest one I've ever heard of. The last time I was, well, a couple times ago when I first started really covering this, like the biggest one that I could find was like this recent, one of the recent California fires, like from a couple years ago. It was like, oh, this is huge, it's really rare, blah, blah, blah. But now even little mild fires will have fire whirls and stuff. But this one here, supposedly this fire tornado was 125 miles per hour spin, 1,000 feet across, and it was 650 feet high. Fire tornado, if you can imagine that. Supposedly ripped across this area of Japan, not that specific one, but Kanto area. And how many people did it kill? I have read everywhere between 15,000 and 44,000. So it's in, but supposedly it killed them all in 15 minutes. It just like fried everybody. That's pretty bad. So these tornado things are going backwards in time, basically, and they've, I don't know, I guess killed a lot of people in this timeline, if it's true. But that would like really, really suck. Japan, I don't know. Japan always is getting its butt kicked with the disasters. Even in this timeline, it's only gotten worse. I don't know what to say, but that did not happen in my old timeline. I'm sorry. All those things, no. And we didn't have tornadoes like that, not fire tornadoes, and not in 15 minutes. Can you imagine the horror if that really happens? Let's see, what else we got? I'll cover this one. All right, I'm going to check, see what you guys are up to. Yeah, I know, need input. Oh, did you know, have you heard of that Kanto earthquake thing? With the... Did you hear about that thing with the Great Kanto earthquake and the 650-foot high fire tornado that killed like 44,000 people in 15 minutes? Have you ever heard of that? That was in when? I didn't even write the year down, did I? Oh well. 1923. Still, you should have heard about that. I mean, some kind of devastation. Millipedes have strychnine fluid in their bodies, and lemurs use them as mosquito repellent to get high. Everything uses everything to get high now. Like, what dolphins chomp on pufferfish, and this timeline loves to get high. You know, I feel spaced out enough lately. I can't even imagine wanting to get high right now. I'm just trying to get like back to like my brain all back to work. The absolute last thing I want is to toast my brain any more than it already is. Millipedes, okay. Millipedes were not poisonous for me, but centipedes were poisonous for me. Centipedes have the big long legs, so they're real leggy and like ooky looking. And then the millipedes have the big fat body and the little bitty legs. And those guys, I don't know, they look more like the chibi version of a centipede, and they were not poisonous for me. So I think that's what you're saying is still happening. Japan always shifts. Japan is shifty. I mean, first it shipped way up north. It's got another freaking giant island. And now it's got like the world's biggest ever fire tornado in its history. Millipedes. Oh, it just does say that millipedes have strychnine. Let me look that up. I mean, there's probably like 5 gajillion species of millipede now anyway. I mean, even if the one species things have split into 10, like, you could only imagine. The millipede and beetle have a toxic relationship. But one beetle can tolerate the toxic defense and rides the millipede. Yeah, I thought strychnine wasn't spelled right. This looks better. Could not remember how to spell strychnine. Shoot, I don't want to watch video. No video. Okay, so apparently we have ride 'em cowboy beetles that ride toxic millipedes. Okay, that's a centipede. I'm thinking maybe it's centipede that has the strychnine. That's what I remember being poisonous. Ink Masters is on. You never tell me if you remember that giant fire tornado that's 650 feet high. But I will forgive you. Need input. Have fun and watch your show. But comment in the comments if you ever hear this again. I hear in Japan been moving around the globe a bit. Yeah, you can stay in one place and see the world. Fire tornado more like a direct energy weapon. Well, it was 1923, so I don't know. Can you imagine if we had that now? We could just fire a tornado like, well, it'd be bad, let's just say. With Sharknado movies, you just know it's got to happen. Well, we've already had, like, tornadoes picking up sharks and flinging them. So Sharknado is almost here. It's just the sharks need to get bigger. But this whole weird thing where tornadoes somehow pick up just one thing. Like, it picks up just fish. It doesn't pick up sticks, pieces of coral, seaweed, or anything else. Oh, no, it just picks up fish. A whole bunch of them, and then flings them like 10 miles somewhere else with clear skies, and then they say it's a tornado. And it's like, yeah, we're supposed to believe all that. Okay, so there's that one. All right, now about the dynamite tree. Actually, let me cover this goofy octopus thing. Okay, you've heard about the Dumbo octopus. When that one showed up, there was a big Mandela spree of, oh my gosh, look at this weird thing. So there's a whole bunch of species of Dumbo octopus now. So this one has the Dumbo ears, but it has big tentacles. But instead of the little nubby chibi tentacles that the Dumbo one has. But this one's have a special skill. All right, so I'm going to just instead of playing the video, I'm just going to jump bit by bit, so that I don't get a copyright strike, but you can still see what's going on. That seems to be working really good because I've been doing that and I haven't gotten any copyright strikes. Okay, so there it is, kind of with its tentacles in normal position. All right, but then it can inflate its tentacles. So then it's like that. And look at the head. That thing looks so weird. Look at it. It looks just like a ball with a, I don't know, it doesn't look like anything. Okay. Then it inflates it more, and it inflates it more. Then it's like that. Look at how fat that it's like. So supposedly it does that if it's scared to look bigger. Now I don't know what it looks like. I don't even want to comment on it. Okay, and then it can deflate again. Look at how impressive that is, though. That big. Anyway, it's cool. Cirroteuthid octopus billows like a circus tent. You can find that one on YouTube. All right, now I'll do dynamite tree. Dynamite tree. Then later I'll have an electricity animal. I like those. All right. So there's this tree called sandbox tree. I think I might have covered this one a little bit, but I don't remember it being this extreme. So I think it's kind of upped it a notch. So Heracrepitans. Just look at my notes so I don't have to look it all up. First it has poison spines, okay. Then it has like these pumpkin-like fruiting bodies, and then these things can explode seeds out at 100. What was it? It blows them out at 160 miles per hour. So I'm like, is that like dangerous or what? If you're near there, will it poke out your eye? And then it's supposed to sound like gunshots. So weirdly though, I mean, I saw pictures of these next to houses and stuff. Would you really want to have like one of these next to your house and have it going off like gunshots all day? But they look like pretty normal trees except for that. Poison spines. Although I wonder if this is really one. I don't even see spines on that one. Now this one I see spines. That really just looks like another tree I know of called Corycia though. Sometimes you gotta wonder. Then this one's supposed to have spines. I don't see no spines. Maybe they're just really tiny. Maybe it's just bumps. So if you touch that, you'll get poisoned. And then it shoots spines at 160 it shoots seeds at 160 miles per hour. That sounds like gunshots. No, that was not in my timeline. I love weird trees, although I'm not sure if I would love this one near my house. But no. All right, so what's that thing in the thumbnail? Does anybody recognize that? Because that's actually been on recently. But it's changed since it was on recently. And it was on a thumbnail recently. Maybe, a month ago? What was the biblical star that appeared a few years ago? I don't know on that one. The infamous gumbo octopus of Louisiana waters was eaten to extinction. Gumbo octopus. You're joking, right? I have not heard. I was talking about the Dumbo octopus. I have not heard of the gumbo octopus. You can't even tell what's a joke anymore. I mean, reality is weirder than fiction. All right, so what was that thing? Do you remember we were talking about the thresher shark? Boink. So a couple things for thresher shark. We just looked at them because I was commenting on the length of the tail and how it's ridiculoso now. Look at that tail. Okay, but. First, let me find, here's one thing that changed. This spike at the end of the tail is new. There's now like this feedback spike. And if you look at, I even looked at my old images that I saved for the last video, and you can kind of see it on there, although it's not really strong. But now when I typed in thresher shark this time, I'm like, what's that? All right, so it's on quite a few of these if you do the same search that I did last time. So I should have seen that, and that was not on there. So it's got like a fish hook on the end now, basically. But where was that one? Like, it's really prominent on this one. But that is not the one that really... It actually showed up on Reddit that they're iridescent now. So that's a thresher shark that's iridescent. And this photo I looked at last time, and it was not colored like that last time. You can see the iridescence in this one now. I was thinking of using this one last time. It looks more like some kind of weird jumping lizard, doesn't it? That looks like the some of the feet, and those are the other feet. Actually, what is that even down there? Is that supposed to be the dorsal? Actually, I think that's a new one. There's a new bottom one. I don't think I remember that bottom one being like that. It looks broken or something. There's something weird going on with that one. I guess it looks... Oh, you know what? That's the bottom of the tail. Okay, yeah, that's it. It just looks so wrong now with the top being so long. Okay. You're like, what's that nub? Oh, it's the tail. Okay, so yeah, they're iridescent now, apparently. There's a number of images of them. Not as many as there should be if something was that beautiful. There should be like hundreds and hundreds of photos of these guys. So I think this is a pretty new Mandela, because there's only like 5 or 6 that I can find. This one's all blue, and this one, he's got some orange and blue. So apparently not only are they iridescent, but each one has different colors. You can see a little on the tail on that one. So yeah, them some nice looking sharks. Looks like purple's gonna be, so you got these purple sharks now. Purple and green and yellow and orange. That's pretty impressively nice looking shark. And we just covered those, and there was no hook on the end of the tail, and there was no iridescence on those last time. I'm thinking, let's see, I think it's this guy now. That's the colored one. Looks like it. Originally the first thresher, oh no, that's Megamouth. Looks like it's pelagic that's going to be colored. Alright, I don't need to do that. Alright. I think I just have 2 more. Search albino moose, Sweden. See, Sweden doesn't need to lock down because they have cool moose and stuff that will kill you. Police decide to kill then save Sweden's famous white. Alright, so they only have 1 right now. Was nearly killed. After thousands rallied to save it. Police decided... Why would you decide this cull the only white moose in your whole country? This is like just an excuse to... This is Mandela's excuse to trot out the white moose. They have to have a story in order to trot that thing out. That's pretty bizarre. I have not seen a white moose. Can't say I'm shocked at all because albino everything is showing up everywhere. Look at even the fur. I mean, even the velvet on the antlers is white. No thanks. Police decided to cull a rare albino elk. There's no way they would decide to shoot that. Like, people would just be like slamming their sabers down on the police if they did that. Instantly became a worldwide viral hit. So the police said, yes, let's go kill it. I mean, come on. Sweden's not like that backward. The Swedish region where the stately elk roams decided to cull the animal in a decision that outraged animal rights campaigners. Well, something like that ought to spread virally around the internet fairly easily. The decision was made after the elk approached a woman out walking her 2 dogs. She fell and was injured. Her dogs were also scared. Oh, really? So because she saw it and fell down on her own and was scared, they're going to kill it. That's like when regular mean old mooses charge and hurt people all the time, and they're not killed. But this one startled a woman, therefore we will slaughter it. That makes no sense. It's just this is like the stupidest article. I think Mandela just wants to trot out this moose and it needed a story. In Sweden, the white elk population... Oh, they have 100 of them suckers. Oh, ho, 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 ho. In Sweden, the white elk population is estimated to consist of about 100 animals. I still don't believe that they would waste their time killing an animal that just startled a woman. I mean, even like bloodthirsty hunters really don't hold it against the animal if it just slightly startles you. There's no way. There's just no way. All right, so this is Sweden's introduction to the Mandela. That's a very cool looking animal, you have to admit. Kind of pudgier than I remember them. I don't know if it's just because they're white, so they look different. Somehow they look like dorks when they're white. They never existed before or was extremely rare. Yep, I believe you. They killed Harambe. Well, Harambe was potentially right about to kill a girl, and they had, or was it that boy that fell in there? And they had to pull him out. That's why they killed him. But the moose was just walking along and minding its own beeswax, and the woman was fine. So, different story. I saw a herd of 10,000 cows all laying down. It was so freaky. Yeah, I know. It used to be if they were laying down, they were sick and dying, and it was serious business. Now they're just like sleepy. Like the idiots who sightsee polar bears. Yeah, I don't know. You know, that's the story. Then there was that story with the polar bears playing with the dogs and stuff. Polar bears might get nicer. I mean, you got alligators are way nicer in this time. Like, you can have pet alligators and you can brush their teeth. You could brush the teeth of a 12-foot alligator and he won't eat you. I think we're going to get that with the polar bears, too. They've taken a few footsteps in the direction of nicer polar bears. Now it's big sharks close to land. Creepy. Yep. But, you know, you can pet those freaking sharks now, and they'll come to you to have fish hooks taken out of their mouth, and they're getting nicer. Maybe the animals shift because they have to. Maybe we could change them, change form, too. Well, we are changing form, though. I mean, the whole bone structure, the whole structure of the brain, where your higher cheekbones now. I'll tell you, I can feel how much more efficient the current bone and muscle layout is. I don't know how to describe this, but there's things I can do now that I couldn't do. One, it used to be really hard to walk on hands and like to bend over and walk like you're a cat. But not hands and knees, but like hands and feet. Like to put hands on the ground and feet on the ground and walk. Used to be really hard. And now it's easy. Because the new hip structure is way better. Like way more flexible. I can do stuff that used to be a huge strain. Is easy now. Also walking on like kind of ballet style, but not directly on my toes, but on those, you know, with the toes bent back, but like with my heel way high. That used to be hard. It's really easy now. Really easy. There's things that are just way easier. Owls now lay on stomachs. Really? Owls lay, really? With their cute little furry feet out, really? Snakes have become super fries. Okay, I don't know what that means. Owls laying down. It's like some of this stuff is just to look cute for humans, I swear. Stomach. Yeah, birds used to fall asleep standing up with their claws snapped onto something. Keeping their talons tightly gripped on a branch, the owlets lay down on their stomachs, turning their heads to the side, and fell asleep. Their naps are short, and when they are asleep, they do not like to be awakened, even to be fed. Really? So baby birds don't want to get awake to be fed. Since when? Some owls sleep face down, and these 30 funny photos show it. Yeah, no. Come on. It looks like it melted. You would be sure it was dead. I wish I had that as the thumbnail, but then everybody would think that I had a dead owl as the thumbnail and they'd be all mad. It's like the chibi version of everything has to happen. Everything is chibi. There's not that many photos of them, though. Not yet. I think we'll see more, but so far there's not many. Just this guy. There's like one really good photo. All right, there's the bored panda ones. Apparently those are asleep with their face down like that. People are just learning that some owls... Bored panda has a lot of Mandelas on it. You know, they have like weird animals, and people are just learning that some owls sleep with their faces down, and here are 26 pics. All right, I'll look at it. Yeah, that thing looks dead. This is because their heads are too heavy. Also, I don't think I've seen owl legs before. Yeah, you know, my old timeline, bird legs were like these. They just had that, the scaly legs. And they were smaller. Now they've got these furry legs. So they look more like they've got pants on. And the legs look way more robust. And I'm guessing they probably are way more robust. Look at the size of those nostrils, too. So this whole thing with the birds that look like they have pants on. I mean, it's definitely an older Mandela. But it's very much a Mandela for me. The knees of those. That one looks weird. Look at that. That is totally creepy looking, actually. Some of them are cute and some just look grisly. The chibi attack. Some of this stuff has to be just Mandela'd for humans because it's just too coincidental how many of these are things that humans think are cute. And on the reverse, we have a lot of things that humans would surely think are totally disgusting, like peeing on their feet and stuff. Not owls, but some of the new animals are just, it's like the extremes, but a lot of it just seems somehow cute to the human sensibilities. Like the fennec foxes just look like Pokemons. So many things look like Pokemons or chibis now. Chibi version. If you watch anime or manga, then you'll know what chibi version is like when you take the regular version of something and make it really cute with pudgy cheeks and kind of little arms and legs, and it's like the cutesy down version. And usually kind of pudgy cheeks and pudgy body, and they call it chibi. I think like for manga, like the artist can save some time doing a couple panels in chibi because it's a lot simpler drawing techniques, so they can slam out a couple panels of chibi and get it done like 10 times faster. So I can totally see why artists like chibi version. I mean, to really sleep with your eyes hid, like, so you can't see anything in the wild, it would be unlikely. Lots of anthropomorphism and realization of jokes and myths, waiting for unicorns. Yep, waiting for the unicorns. I don't know, we gonna finally, like, have arrived at a somewhat stable timeline? Maybe go back to the slow changes. If we get to the unicorns, or is it just going to be like breakneck pace forever? Now, granted, I do feel it slowed down the last few weeks. I feel like I feel like I really had to hunt for these. I actually had some time this week, so I really checked all my sources for, and I didn't find that many Mandelas. I did not have many punching me in the face like I sometimes do. The purple squirrels were a personal Mandela for Eva. She made them happen. I don't think I can be responsible for purple squirrels. First of all, I did not know of the saying of the purple squirrel. I learned of that only after I saw somewhere that there was a squirrel that was purple. And that's an older Mandela. I believe I heard of that probably just a little before I knew of the Mandela, too. There are some stuff I'll take credit for. And the tame foxes may well be maybe something that at least partially was in my mind a lot, but I used to study foxes. I studied their personalities. I thought they're the cutest things ever. Used to draw them in art class. Well, we've got red pandas and we've got those fennec foxes, and then even regular foxes now can be pets. I mean, they're not the world's best pets, but they don't bite you. So, they used to just be mean things. Like they were wild, so you couldn't pet them. But, you couldn't just go, oh, what a nice fudgy fox, let me pet your tummy. But you can now. I mean, the pet foxes, sure, they still aren't like really housebroken, and they're kind of, spaz, and they're kind of hard to take care of, but they're some of them can be very, very friendly in this timeline. Which is, I promise you, was not in my timeline because I've totally researched foxes. Okay, couple more. This one sounds way creepier than it really is. Ice tongue. I saw this one on TV, actually. Blink. Yeah, it looks like most of these are all mine, too. I'm trying to see if I forgot to credit anybody, but only one did I get from you guys. All right. Ice tongue. This was on TV. I'm like, what the bleep? Okay, so apparently now, if glaciers move too fast or something, they can grow these tongues of ice. It looks really weird. I don't really get how it would be all straight like that, like a stick, but that's a new formation for me, ice tongues. I'm gonna write down that white moose, because that's really cool. Come on, pen, you could do it. On owls, sleep, face down. Those are good ones, so thank you for those. And let's see, what's the last one on here? Okay, so I've been definitely looking, I've mentioned this before, but I've been looking into the whole Tartaria thing and this whole energy harvesting thing. And this isn't specifically that, but it reminds me a lot of it. Which one should I go to first? How about basically, I've been researching free energy because I'm very curious how this is going to go. But this one, it's not what I remember seeing here. So apparently there's a microbe called Geobacter. That's it, right? Yeah, Geobacter sulfuriducens that makes electricity. The electric microbe is a species of environmentally friendly bacteria with some incredible abilities. So it makes electricity in its body. It can hook up with neighboring geobacters, and then the electricity can spread along all of them. So like say there's a bunch of food here and a bunch of food here, but no food in there. But the whole plate full of the geobacters, they spread the food evenly by spreading the electrons or something. It's kind of confusing, but basically they can become communal that way by spreading the energy between them like a giant electrical transmitter colony. They're called iron breathers since they respire iron compounds. I've not heard of that. They also can eat stuff like petroleum and uranium and other toxins, and they've been used to help clean up oil spills. They can be harnessed as microbial fuel cells to generate electricity from soil and food waste. Let's see, what else? I think I've covered all of them, but that's enough. Let's see, all connected and transferring electrons in a vast network, and there's more. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I've never heard of this, and it's pretty cool. When did they find this? It was like 30 years ago. Found 30 years ago. In 2010, Geobacter was used for environmental restoration, energy harvesting, and even to help clean up the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Bet you never heard of them using electric bacteria to help clean up Deepwater Horizon oil spill. They can work as one or as a thriving system. Geobacter is the first organism found respire on organic compounds using iron oxide as an electron acceptor. They have a capacity to remove radioactive metals from groundwater and gain electricity from mud and other inorganic waste matter. So they're like, I mean, if you could harness this, then you could just make power directly from waste products or even toxins. So very exciting. Of course, it's been here 30 years in this timeline. I actually ran into this by accident because I was researching like the Tartaria stuff and the etheric energy harvesting. So that stuff that they're talking about in Tartaria with the old buildings, I mean, some of that science is basically already known in this timeline. Let me just show you. I mean, it's doable. You could replicate it, basically. So the whole Tartaria theme is that these old buildings all have these spires. Ooh, I haven't seen this one. So, oh, this is the second time I've seen this in like a couple days. Let me just see if I can get it to. This is the second time I've seen one of these in like a week. I think this is like the latest development in the Tartarias. It was just these spires, these spikes. So, of course, the skeptics say that they are lightning rods. But let me tell you what you can do right now. So, I mean, if you had the ability to do some decent soldering and find the parts, you can look this up. It's doable. I mean, people have done it. So this whole concept that they're harvesting etheric energy, it's basically just there's a difference in electromagnetic waves as they travel, and as the electromagnetic waves travel, it can induce a charge along a wire. Okay, so basically they're just using this concept. And so the more difference between the higher up your harvester spike is, then the more energy you will harvest. So the point was always, pardon the pun, to have it as high as possible. So it makes sense to have them way up here. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this particular brush pattern one, because that's a new one that's shown up twice in 1 week for me. But basically, you can put like a piece of aluminum or something up here and set up a kind of simple circuitry system and you can get a small amount of wattage just from the distance there. It's basically harvesting it from the air. And then if you put like either a coil system or certain kind of systems that kind of amplify the energy you already have using known electromagnetic principles, then you can kind of amplify that wattage. So you can get enough wattage to, like, say, run a chandelier or something. I mean, you're not going to be able to, as we are now, you're not going to be able to run your refrigerator from it because they're two energy hogs, but you can run lights. Okay. So there really is not a really strong reason why they couldn't have had this in current timeline, the way the current physics works, that they couldn't have had been harvesting energy from the ethers or from electromagnetic waves. It's totally doable even now. It's not even that secret of. We do need to have some capacitors and stuff. There's certain things that the current, like people in Russia have been experimenting with this and stuff. And you could just put your voltage meter on there and get the wattage and the volts and stuff. So it's doable right now. So this isn't even that weird a concept that these Tartaria people, the Tartaria researchers are looking into. I'm really curious what this is gonna come to pass with this brush things, though. But give it some more shifts, because I think we're gonna get to the point where the tech's going to get where this could get more useful. Because right now you can power a chandelier, but I bet you there's going to be tech that shows up that lets us get more and more and more energy from this. And, the setup isn't even that hard. I mean, it's like a plate of aluminum, like 2 foot by 2 foot under the eaves is one thing that people have been experimenting with. As we start to understand this old tech better, and I don't think that, I don't think we're going to have to understand it. I think it's just going to show up, and we'll just have to replicate it. At least us that are shifting. I don't know, maybe somebody figured it out somewhere, but. So anyways, watch this Tartaria stuff. That's why I was looking into that, like how much wattage can you get? So you could get like, right now we can get like 100 watts if you put it up like one story and set up the circuitry. Now the problem is that it's direct current, and direct current is pretty dangerous, so you do have to be careful fiddling with it. Like, you kind of have to know what you're doing a little bit, because direct current is a lot more dangerous than house current. So but anyway, I think we're going to see for some timelines that there'll be free energy one way or another, of one type or another. We've got solar panels making amazing strides. We've got this etheric energy thing, cold fusion. We've got these microbes things that can make energy. There's going to be a lot of options. Should be very interesting. Now channels are talking about something that made buildings melt. Yes, I've seen that for the last like 6 months. Images of melted buildings. So yeah. Old Vimayanas or something. Who knows? Also, 9/11, it used to just be that explosions it was controlled demolition, right? But the last couple of years, there's been all this evidence for like some kind of laser beams attacking it. So yeah, I think we will see more and more laser beam stuff. Just higher end tech going back in time. Tesla documented all that stuff. Interesting. Oh, I don't know if you heard the latest. This is what I've been hearing this week. It's very hard to keep up with this stuff. There's just like new conspiracy theories rolling down the chute faster than you could ever possibly make this stuff up. But the latest is Tesla is a fraud, and he stole all his stuff from Tartaria. Like he lived near Tartaria, and he got their old records, and he stole all his theories from ancient Tartaria. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that conspiracy theory is going to pan out, but it is an interesting one. Squirrels are picky little sods. Really? I don't know. Maybe, I used to live on the, well, I didn't live on the college campus, but I was at college campus a lot, and the squirrels there were such little pigs that if you didn't watch and you were holding your sandwich out to the side, they would literally run up and yank that sandwich out of your hand and run off with it. Little monsters. They were known to sneak into the buildings, like through the front door, and grab food and then run out the door with it. Little beasts. I don't know, maybe they later went, ugh, I don't like your sandwich, but they didn't seem that picky. And they were the fattest squirrels you have ever seen, too. Look up when the buildings cried. Let's see what that one says. I'm going to leave that one to check later. When the buildings cried. Oh, melted buildings, Huh. I'll check that one out later. I don't want to get a copyright strike. Rat holding a donut, walking on two legs. I've seen a lot of animals walking on two legs, definitely. I've talked about that before. Raccoons. I think with the new hip structure, even the animals are getting it. Gorillas are really good at it now. Rats have been like fairly good at like rearing up on two legs, but I don't think I ever once saw a rat really like cruising on two legs. I mean, we used to have pet rats when I was a kid too. How to train a rat to walk on their hind legs. All right, they're training it there. Rats don't surprise me too much. But I do think the new hip look at it, is like a cartoon, isn't it? The new hip structure, I think, just really allows more mobility in more directions. See, the way it used to be for me is there was, and I used to always think it looked kind of like a shabby system. It looked awkward, but there used to just be like this huge, like a huge cage of bone, and then that would surround, and then the leg bone would kind of go in there, and then there was like this whole musculature that would kind of keep it together, right? But now, you've got like a very tight socket situation with the bones, and it's very straight. It's not, it's a lot better now. So I think that's really why. Cheeky muggers. Yeah, they are. They are, those squirrels. Fuzzy rats. The gateway process. What is a secret investigation into paranormal? The gateway process. Only gateway process I know is the Monroe Institute. Is that what you guys are talking about? The TMI, the Monroe Institute? It's not secret though. I mean, anybody can sign up for it if you got a couple thousand. And you can buy the tapes for it and do it at the house. But, there's always that group energy advantage. Like when there's a group, it's just way more powerful a lot of times. Anyways, so that's pretty much it. I think I got everything. Let me just check. Yep. Only 2 hours today. I'll give you time to answer what I asked, but they have trained rats to find landmines. Yeah, animals are just smarter here. Humans don't seem to be smarter, though, do they? I mean, we have better tech, but like the people we meet on the street, actually, now that I think of it, I would not ascribe excessive amounts of new intelligence to any of the humans. Actually, like we're like slacking, man. Definitely seem more right-brained, but not smarter. Check out SMQ AI has some neat insights regarding all that. Yeah, I just don't always have time to watch like hours and hours of video, so I need like the short answer or the short video. All right, anyways, so yeah, you guys had a lot of good stuff to bring to the show today, so I appreciate that since I didn't have that much. And so, think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.